I do need to talk some now, actually.
What did I say? What did I say? Why did they beep that out? Now we have Billy Reid up next, pitching for funding for a very simple office to resi conversion in Acton, West London. Now, as regular viewers will know, I'm all over these deals like a rash. Now, is this one that I'm getting my wallet out for? Find out. So what you're about to see is Billy Reid's pitch on the hit Sky TV show Property Elevator. Now, I'm going to react to the pitch as it went out on TV, and I'm going to give you the benefit of my analysis and behind the scenes commentary and viewpoints of what the deal was and what the risks were and whether it was a goer and all that sort of jazz. So you learn a lot from this particular video. Now, my name is Ranjan Bhattacharya. I'm one of the 5 angels on the show. So you'll see me on the show along with my fellow angels, Nicholas Wallwork, Helen Chorley, John Howard, and Paul Mahoney. So if you've missed Series 3 of Property Elevator, all 6 episodes, plenty of deals pitched, plenty of learning, and you don't have Sky and it's just passed you by, well, this is where you can get it. You can get it at succeedinproperty.com/box set, and you can sign up to receive free access to all the episodes as they went out on Sky TV. So they're all nicely laid out. The one we're going to look at now is Billy Reid in Series 3. So as I said, just click on the link below. It's in the description somewhere on your screen. But do that later. You can watch all the episodes as they went out raw on Sky. But now we're going to deep dive into Billy Reid's office to residential pitch.
Billy, welcome to the show.
Hi Lizzie, thank you
How
for
are
having
you?
me. I'm great, thank you. How are you?
Good, yeah, really good, thanks. Where have you come from today?
I've come from London.
Nice.
Yes.
How far?
So I live in West London, Notting Hill.
So tell us a little bit about yourself and where you are in your property journey.
I'm a born and bred Londoner, live in West London, as I said, and I'm a proud father of a cute little naughty 2-year-old boy called Jordan. Yeah, my property journey started. I bought and sold property in the 90s, did very well doing that, and then I went away and did lots of other projects that were successful.
Okay.
And
great.
now I'm like, now's the time to come back, and I'm really excited about this new stage in my business life.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm starting
Brilliant.
today, and it's an office conversion,
Right.
It's just on the edge of Shepherd's Bush, Acton, which is
Okay,
a great
so
area,
right?
right?
Yeah, really great
And
area.
I'm going to convert that into 2 1-beds. Really simple, 6 to 12 months work,
Perfect.
in and out, double your money.
Perfect.
and
They,
it's
they
a-
love a good simple deal like that. So hopefully.
Yeah.
That's
Exactly,
gonna
and
be good news.
it's a commercial to residential conversion, which I'm really
Which is
excited
always great.
about. Exactly,
Yeah. Well, good luck.
Thank you.
My fingers are crossed for you. I'll have a chat to you when you get out.
Great, thank you.
Billy, thank you very much for coming today. Can you tell us a bit about yourself and also about the deal you brought us?
So I'm a Londoner, born and bred. I live in West London, Notting Hill, and I'm a proud father of a 2-year-old, cheeky little 2-year-old called Jordan. And I'm presently working in City London as a consultant for a law firm. And I'm absolutely obsessed with property at the moment. I started my property journey in the 90s. I bought and sold property successfully and stopped in 2002 to do other projects. I did music production, I had music festivals, I did create business apps. I'm a serial entrepreneur, basically. And
I like Billy already, very relaxed and poised as he comes in to face us angels. It must be very nerve-wracking, but he doesn't show it, does he? And he's a serial entrepreneur, and that's a great sign because, you know, if you're successful at doing other businesses, then you've got a track record of success, and that we tend to find that translates into other things you do, including property.
right now, I'm really excited to get back into property now and build a portfolio because I just think it's a really opportune time and I just see a lot of opportunity.
And tell us a bit about the deal that you brought us today.
It's an office conversion. It's first floor. It's Askew Crescent off the Askew Road, and it's on the borders of Shepherd's Bush and Acton, which is a wonderful area that I'm really focused on at the moment, around W12.
Yep.
And it's 939 square feet, and it's going to convert it to 2 1-beds.
Right. Yep.
You know, I'm surprised they didn't cut to me there because at this point I was salivating and on the edge of my seat. Of course, office to resi conversions, London is right up my street. But let's see what the deal's all about.
Yeah, and the big uplift opportunity is the conversion from commercial to residential. I have permission from the freeholder. He's quite happy for me to change over the use case there. I've spoken to local planning consultant. He doesn't see a reason why that shouldn't be able to change the class over. No problem.
On PD?
Prior approval and permit development, yes.
And of course, we have our resident expert here for that as well.
Yes.
Just to check that, but I'm sure you're right. I'm sure you're right, Billy. Okay.
Well, I've done a few here and there, I guess.
Who would like to
Yeah.
kick off?
Okay, so purchase price is 300k, so you haven't bought it yet.
Nah.
This is something that's on the market. So
Yes.
300, what I'm trying to get to is you mentioned permission from the freeholder. What exactly is for sale here?
What's for sale is a lease. I'm buying it from a leaseholder.
Yep.
He's selling it on. It's a
Yep.
retired solicitor. It's been there for
Yep.
9 years. He bought it previously from the freeholder for 999-year
Yes.
lease.
Great.
Yes. So you're buying.
So that guy there asked a very intelligent question, very pertinent question. It's very important to know what exactly you are buying. Now, when you're not buying when you buy a freehold property, it's relatively clear cut. You're buying the land on which the building sits in its entirety. When you're buying something that is not freehold, it's basically leasehold. And there are other parties to deal with. So in this case, what's for sale is the first floor of that building that they showed. The first floor. It's a long 999-year lease on the first floor. So someone else is in occupation of the ground floor and someone else owns the freehold, meaning the land on which the whole building sits.
A long leasehold interest on the first floor.
Yes.
Okay.
Great.
And you mentioned it's for sale, but you've got permission from the freeholder
Yes.
to convert to residential.
Yes.
Is that written permission, verbal?
Verbal
from
over the
agent?
phone, and he said, I'm a businessman, make me an offer. Shouldn't be a problem. I'm happy
Okay.
for anybody to live there.
So when you say that he's got the permission, but that's subject to paying him a consideration of some kind.
Yes.
Is that in here?
No.
Do you have any idea what that's likely to be?
I have no idea what it would be. I didn't want to step into that conversation without really working with someone more experienced to do the negotiation.
Okay.
I would expect it not to be a grand amount.
The good news is that you've asked the question and the answer is yes. So that's one of my first questions was, have you got the...
Yes, it is good news that you've asked the question. You don't really want to go too far down the road at this stage, but the other side of that is you certainly don't want to formulate an offer price to buy this property without having that firmed up. Now, what often happens is, you see, the freeholder will get wind of what you're doing. They'll know that you're planning to convert it into 1 or 2 bedroom flats. They'll see that uplift potential in the real estate values. And basically, they will want their slice of the pie. And the question is their slice of the pie too big that it makes the deal unviable? And that is an important thing that must be clarified before you know whether this is deal or no deal.
The freeholder's permission, and in principle you have subject to a negotiating deal. That's fine. You and I can negotiate that deal, Billy. Don't worry about that.
By the way, full marks for Billy's matching tie and handkerchief combo. One of the best I've seen on Series 3.
Yeah, have you done anything like this before?
So development, no. Refurbishments, yes. So this is the bit I'm really excited about. I'm really excited about building a team. I do know developers. I do know builders, and I've been speaking to architects and brokers, and just building a team. I'm really excited
I
about.
assume that's where you've got the costs from, the refurbs and everything. You've spoken to somebody about that.
So we're looking at 70k refurb to make it into 2 1-beds. Legal fees around 3,000, and
And what do we think the net profit is? Remind me.
the GDV is 786.
Well, I don't want to keep you awake there, John. I mean, perhaps when he goes on about the net profit, that might perk him up a bit.
Yep.
I do need to talk some now, actually.
What did I say? What did I say? Why did they beep that out? Oh, yeah, I did. I said, well, I should have asked the people to comment below. I mean, what do you think I said? What do you think I said there? I think I said, I'm going to talk some shit now. And obviously that was deemed inappropriate for Sky at that time of the evening.
One of the problems.
That'll make a change.
Rude.
One problem or area that you.
Oh, by the way, I was told by the producer that they had to use the beeper most on me in Series 3. Actually, only on me, they said. But anyway, I'm talking shit, basically. Let's see what I'm saying.
Always got to address, particularly when you're only getting a leasehold interest. You want to divide this into 2 one-bedroom flats. Normally when you buy the freehold, you've got full control to get basically the waste pipe out however you want.
Yeah.
So the ground floor is subject to a long lease, so you've got no rights to go in there and do whatever you like. It seems like the loos and the services are located at one end of the floor plan. Mm-hmm. You want to divide it into 2 flats.
Good point.
So one of the issues to identify is, can you actually get from toilets located?
That's the shit out, basically. I'm talking plumbing, and you know, I know I've used some flippant language here, but look, guys, if you are just buying a first floor or a floor that's mid-floor, and you're only buying a leasehold interest, then you don't have the automatic right to go in and stick a massive 100mm wide shit pipe all the way through someone else's demise. It's as simple as that. And rerouting it somewhere else might not be possible. It all depends on the site geography, and I'm not sure whether that's been considered here.
At the other side of the building, is there a route, manholes, all the rest of it, so that it's actually feasible?
That's a great question. That's a question I'd put to my builder. In fact, so I looked at 2 options. One is really straightforward, turn it into a 3-bed, single, 3-bed. But I thought it was a greater profit margin on the 2 1-beds, but that would definitely be a question to ask to the builder.
You could always use macerators as well to pump
Yeah,
it.
You wouldn't get it for building regs, not for a 1-bed. They'll let you do it for a second toilet, but you'd have, and it's not that satisfactory.
Well,
we'll get back to the video in just a moment. What is the most exciting opportunity in property right now? And that is repurposing defunct commercial buildings to residential use. Now, most people don't really know where to start, what to look for, and how to exploit these opportunities. And that's why I've prepared 90 minutes of free training for you to get you started on this wonderful journey. You can register for this free training at property-workshop.com. Join me on that free training, and I'll leave you to enjoy the rest of the video. For the main
I think you made a good point, Ranjan, to be fair.
I'll try now.
But you do, and you've done very well. But I would say that...
Well, when John gives his praise out, you've got to be gracious and accept it, because it doesn't happen too often.
There's probably a way around it, but I agree, you can't go into downstairs. That's a big no-no.
What is downstairs? What's the unit?
It's a studio at the moment. They make children's toys.
Right, okay. And what is in most of those studios? Are they all commercial, is that, or anything else?
Yeah, so here is, they make speakers, music speakers, and I believe this furniture store, like furniture company.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there any parking with it?
Yeah, one parking just there.
One parking. You might have an issue with parking. Highways under PD might say you need, I don't know what the regs are in that area, but in our areas it's sort of
Can they?
0.75
Oh, that's
per
interesting.
space. They could say you can't have the PD for 2 units, so you might only get 1 unit with the parking. It could be a reason for them to refuse the PD. They might not. They might want a carless scheme because it's in a very busy area, and that's very likely.
Yeah.
But it is a risk, and it's something you'd need a local planning consultant to look into to understand the council's attitude to the parking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, what we're banging on about here is he's got 1 parking space. He's got a large unit. He wants to make it into 2 flats. It may well be that the council will only entertain this permitted development application if you can provide 2 car parking spaces, which you can't. But being in the London area, it will have a close proximity to public transport connections. And if it does, which I'm sure it will have in Acton, then that means that you can offer to have this development as a no parking scheme. And that usually gets you through. So I'm not sure how big an issue that is that Nicholas is bringing up for this particular site.
Billy,
Got it.
if we can't do 2 because of their parking,
Yeah.
And because of the shit pipe, of course.
what value is the 3-bedroom flat?
An average of 867 in the area.
But you've got to be...
I think you
That's
wouldn't
better than
get
the 2
that.
1-beds.
Sorry?
That's better than the 2 1-beds.
The problem is when
Yes.
you get to...
But it's easier to rent out to one bed.
No one's letting me speak here. I mean, I'm about to make a very, very salient point because I don't think that that 3-bedroom flat is worth anywhere near what he's talking about. So let's see whether they let me get a word in edgeways on this one.
I assumed it was 6B.
When you start doing 3 beds, particularly at the first floor with no outside space, you'll find that your comparables are all based on 3 beds with a little bit of outside space. That's why it's 800 and something like that.
So the lower end of the market is 700.
Yeah,
Right. Bottom end.
Still struggle, I think.
Let's call it
one
six,
bed.
let's call it 650.
Yeah.
Have you looked at the values on a pounds per square foot comparable basis?
I haven't done that way, no.
Okay, well that's always quite useful to do.
And actually, it is, as you noted in the pre-chat, John, that is a large flat. So actually 700 might be realistic because it's probably 20% bigger than some of those comparables.
I didn't want you to point that out, to be honest with
Apologies.
you. Apologies. Ranjan, that's right in Ranjan's area.
Sorry.
He knows where this is. And
That normally helps. I mean, if it's up north, I often don't know the geography. But I think people are dancing around some subject points here in terms of coming up with a fair end value for this flat as a 3-bedroom unit. Now, doing a strict price per square foot, it's a guide, but it shouldn't be used as a definite kind of measure. Now, the big issue with 3-bedroom flats is that a lot of the comparables will have gardens, they'll have outside space, they'll have parking and all the rest of it. And they will have ground floor access. So this, because of course, people who are living in a 3-bedroom flat in this part of London and paying that sort of money, well over £600,000, normally want to be on the ground floor level. They've all often got children and that kind of stuff, small families. But this sort of flat doesn't seem suitable and in the area for that. What you normally have also, which I don't think has been discussed yet, is that this flat is above a commercial premises. It's above a studio and there's all sorts of commercial action going on in the vicinity. So when you actually look at how the end value of this flat will compare to neighbouring flats in residential areas, well, of course, it's a compromise. It's a compromise not to be in a 3-bedroom flat in a residential area because you're surrounded by commercial dwellings. So therefore, that will go at a discount to what a flat in a residential area would go for. So you'd have to apply a discount in this sort of parade of anywhere between 10 and 15%.
And it's within the M25, so
Well,
it qualifies for a Ranjan deal.
It makes the change for...
There's a tube stop there. There's a tube
There's
stop
a
there.
there's a tube
Get there.
stop and everything.
There is.
So,
There's a couple.
okay, I'm not.
Oh, they're all making fun, aren't they? Yeah, I do like my tube stops.
But
Listen,
don't
How
get him
far
too
is it
excited.
away from the tube?
It's in between Acton and
No,
Shepherd's Bush,
roughly.
right in the middle. I couldn't tell you exactly.
I'm just trying to gauge
That's
whether
useful, Billy, to know.
parking...
That is useful. So, listen, Billy, you're paying 300 grand for it, aren't you?
Yeah.
Okay, and we think the worst.
It's on the
is-
market for 320, but I think I can get it for 300.
Okay, so we think the worst is 650. Okay, so I'm going to make you an offer. I'm not messing around. I'm always the first to make an offer. Why is that? Is that because I'm more experienced? I don't know. But so I'm going to make an offer. So I don't want to be waiting 12 years. I'm too old to wait 12 years for the deal. All right, to all that. So what I'm suggesting is, you and I put all the money up. We go 50-50 and we refurbish it, buy it, refurbish it and we sell it, we move on to the next deal.
That's amazing.
That's my offer. Who's going to beat that then? Come on.
Well, who indeed? Let's have a look.
What is your planned exit on this? Because you have noted a holding period of 12 years.
Yeah.
He's changed his mind now.
So originally, before I came,
Well, John's
before I
changed his
came in
mind.
front of you guys, I was going to refinance.
Right.
Yeah. And move on.
So I should really sort of backtrack a little bit. What Billy originally pitched was a sort of do the refurbishment and hold the property on for 12 years as a buy-to-let kind of investment. Now, when most of us angels on the show really don't want to get into long-term buy-to-let kind of JVs, it's a quick in and out type of proposition, and hence the comments that John made just then.
By the way, if you want to refinance, that's fine. Take me out on my share. I'm very happy to do that. You said, Billy, you can do either. I don't mind. We just buy it, refurbish it, you take me out and keep it if you wish to, and if we can do 2, we do 2, probably. But it might be that there isn't much difference between doing 1 and doing 2, because I think if you do 1, actually, you probably won't be spending 50,000. It might be a bit less than that. So there may not be a lot of difference between 1 and 2. If we want, and also,
John's got a point there. I mean, and this is all going to hinge on looking at the detailed financials and looking at the contribution you're going to have to make to the freeholder for his slice of the pie, and see how the figures stack. But essentially what we're getting at is that, when you actually make a bigger flat, it is often not as expensive as making 2 smaller ones, because when you have an individual flat, you've got to have separate electrics, separate consumer units, separate bathrooms, separate kitchens and all of that. So that adds to the cost. Whereas if you're just having a 2-bedroom flat instead of a 1-bedroom flat, then a bedroom is really just a bedroom, 4 walls, bit of skirting, paint and all of that sort of stuff. So the incremental cost of making a bigger bedroom flat isn't as much as laying on a fresh new one. That's what John's getting at here.
property development, speed is very important, because the quicker you get done, the quicker we move on to the next deal.
Exactly.
See?
Yeah.
So it's not always about trying to get the very most out of something.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's my offer.
Something else you need to be aware of is the noise. They're looking at acoustics for PD apps, obviously, and being the only potentially residential unit there, they're going to want to hear a sound test between.
Yeah, there's a bit of sound testing here, but I think Nicholas is being a bit of a Debbie Downer on this one. I mean, we're at the stage now where people are making offers, and yes, this is the case with all permitted development applications for office to residential conversions. If they are noisy commercial occupiers in the vicinity, you will have to get some kind of acoustics report to demonstrate that they're not making too much noise for your future residential occupiers. But in this particular setting, I'm not sure
below,
how big a deal that is.
Adjacent and possibly on the whole site itself.
Yeah.
Also bear in mind, an end lender, if you were to sell this on, so you've got an incoming buyer, an end lender might not like the fact it's in the middle of a business park, mini units, albeit a very small one. I'm not quite sure what's out of sight.
It's surrounded by residential, really nice houses.
Okay, good. So it's probably okay, because it kind of looks studio-y, funky,
cool.
warehousey, a bit cool, exactly. So I think it'll be fine, but it's something before you exchange on it, get a broker to see if you can get an end loan on it for an incoming buyer at the end. It's all very well developing it, spending all that money, but you don't want to be trying to find a cash buyer for more than 700 grand, really. It needs to be mortgageable, so just double check that.
That's actually a good tip from my colleague Nicholas, because here, essentially, it's just going to be a leasehold flat. If you had the whole building as one freehold and you were doing the whole lot, then it's very easy to refinance the whole thing on a commercial mortgage. But the end buyer will have to get a residential mortgage on the upper floors. Now, I don't think it's going to be a big problem in this particular area, because if this was in Blackpool or somewhere like that, or Hull, dare I say it, yes, it would be a problem. But in this part of London, unlikely to be a problem, but still worth checking it out with a mortgage broker.
It's too small for me, unfortunately, especially if there's 2 of us involved. But I think it's a cracking little site and makes good money for a nice little deal. So I wish you all the best with it.
You, with all due respect, Nicholas.
I'll leave John to sort of mop up my scraps.
Very little quip there. Now, so Acton is too posh for Nicholas. So let's see what happens.
Fighting talk.
Fighting talk, that is.
So it seems very cheap.
Yeah.
Purchase price for that kind of size of property. You've got like £319 a square foot, but you think when you'll have done it and be selling it, you'll be selling it at £798 a square foot. Mm-hmm. Why is it so cheap? Like I'm confused how you can add that much just by.
Yeah, so I've looked at it, and that was one of the first things I thought to myself, why it's so cheap. And a couple of reasons. I think because if you buy it as a commercial leaseholder, and if I was to then let it out, I can only charge £11,000 per annum. It's really low rental, so there's not much return as a
So
a
the
leaseholder.
seller's selling it with commercial
Yeah,
or like office
completely.
pricing
Yeah.
in his mind, retail
Yeah.
pricing in his mind
The
rather
guy's
than resi
retiring,
pricing.
he just wants to get
Yeah,
rid
I
of
mean,
it.
every deal we find, Billy, this and going forward, hopefully, we'll have an angle, and that is the angle. That is the angle.
This is the angle, as John is saying, and as I'm always banging on about, because the thing here is that when you look at commercial real estate, you will find it's cheap. You will, because as the discussion just pointed out, commercial real estate is valued based on the cash flow it generates. If this commercial unit can only generate 11 grand a year, then that is what its value is based on. So you have this situation where, and I always bang on about this, commercial values are often a third or a quarter of what residential values are. And you can see in this situation how that kind of bears out. So if you can convert from commercial to residential, you are quids in. If you want to find out more about this angle, which I believe is the most profitable angle in property for the next year or so, then I run some regular workshops on this. They're free. It's a 90-minute masterclass. I'll leave the link in the description and on the screen below. Just sign up for that and we'll take you through this strategy in a lot more detail.
Otherwise, we never do a deal if there wasn't an angle.
Yeah.
So
And also, some of these units are 2 floors as well, so ground and first floor.
Yeah.
So he's thinking maybe because it's half, it's
Yeah.
giving half the value, you see what I mean? But square footage is still 939.
yeah.
Have any of those other units in that parade been converted to residential?
No, but the interesting story about this this whole development area is it was previously residential. It used to be home to armed forces. So the retired servicemen used to live there before it was converted into commercial.
You also need to be careful.
That is a very interesting point. It's always good to look at the history of a particular property. Now, in the old days, many residential properties were converted to commercial. So doing commercial to residential is just bringing that property home, for want of a better phrase. And those sort of propositions are most likely to meet with approval.
I'll just help you guys out a little bit more.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
No, it's
We
all right.
need your
Just, I
help.
don't want you getting into trouble, John.
No.
There could be a covenant on the building
That's
for
what
the
I was
whole
getting at.
estate.
That's what I was getting
So you
at.
need to make sure
because
that's not on there.
the warning sign, as I'm sure Nick is picked up on, is that description on screen, unit available. And sometimes you tend to find that within that whole parade, there'll be some kind of restrictive covenant preventing.
Billy,
Yeah.
do you know what
But
I do?
That's
I've got a lawyer. That's why you've got a lawyer.
No, of course you've got a lawyer, and that's what you should do. You should look at the title deeds. You can get the land registry title deeds. You should be available from the commercial agent, and it's a very simple thing to look at to see whether there are any restrictive covenants. It will be on the first couple of pages in plain English, and you can see whether there is anything that prevents any part of this parade going into residential. And these restrictive covenants can be put on the original owners of the properties many years ago, and they stay with the land. That's the thing. There are covenants on place on land which was registered 100, 200 years ago, but they stay with the land, with the freehold land in perpetuity, whatever that word is, forever, I should have said. Yeah, they stay on the land forever, and you have to abide by them. So, but I think John is being a little bit flippant about this, but you do have to check that out before kind of proceeding with a firm offer. You need to know what's the point in wasting a lot of time offering something if you don't just simply check the land registry and see whether there's a restrictive covenant in place. That torpedoes the whole proposition.
yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
All this stuff that people try and find out beforehand, I don't worry about
Well,
that.
I've just saved you
That's
£5 grand on legal fees,
That's what
John.
my lawyer doesn't charge me if we don't do a deal, because I do so many with them.
I
So
did
at the end of the
discover-
day, it's not a problem,
Go on.
Billy. Don't worry about it.
No, I did discover there was a covenant. It was it was based around the servicemen that lived there. There had to be someone like them living there.
Okay.
Great, okay.
That was
Okay.
So no
Well
covenant.
done, you. 'Cause
Well done
I
for
wouldn't have
checking
even
that out.
thought
Well
about that. So
That's a
yeah,
good thing to pick up so early on.
good. So I want to get this deal nailed. So who else wants to bid on this?
Yeah, I like it, but I don't know if I can beat you. I'll do the same thing and give you 55% profit.
That is
That's very interesting, isn't it? I mean, That's very interesting indeed. So he's basically, Paul is there wading in, and he's competing on price. I'm not sure whether that's the best angle to compete on.
Clever, I have to say, that is clever.
Wow, Billy.
You weren't expecting. I wasn't expecting that. Ranjan, not how we fixed.
I think you guys are missing something here, and I think it's a bit of a can of worms, because I'll tell you why. I think the problem you've got in this one is that the freeholder will want his pound of flesh. And when you have to submit to him plans of what you're going to do, and he's just going to look at those plans and say, okay, these flats, sir, or flat is worth this, I want this. And you tend to find that sometimes it's just not economically viable.
No, well, he
the
might.
profit is sucked up
He
in
might
there.
do, Ranjan, but he might not. And if we all had that attitude, we get no deals
if that
off
was
the
bottomed out and presented.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is,
we know what we're dealing
yes,
with.
I understand that, but he has found out that who the freeholder is and that he's willing to do a deal. If ultimately it's too much, okay, we don't do it, we move on. Billy finds another deal, I'll do the next deal with Billy, thanks very much. And you will have missed out, sir. But that's up to you.
He seemed like a really nice guy. I had a really good chat with him.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about
quite reasonable.
connecting. Billy's experience in life and general, he's gonna not have any problems.
There's always some unknowns at this stage, right? Yeah.
Of course.
That kills the deal. That kills the deal.
And it's so
Move on to the next one.
subject to due diligence and all the rest of it. But thank you for your advice, Ranjan.
I couldn't offer you anything better than the chat.
Listen, guys, I actually think time is very, very important, and there's so much commercial property opportunity out there. There are lots of commercial properties. There's a massive oversupply right now. And the thing is, just because the commercial property is there, doesn't mean that it'll give you the best return on time. Now, what I believe is focus your time, focus your resources on deals that will actually go somewhere, rather than deals which, they're worth a punt. There's plenty of things that you can do which are worth a punt, but they all cost time and they all cost money to kind of flesh out the detail. What I believe in is just focusing through knowing your criteria of what works, to focus on the deals that will actually work and will have a high chance of getting to that end line.
Perhaps have offered you, so I'll let them fight it out.
Thank you.
So you've got two choices. You've got an Australian or someone English. Now, that should make no difference to you whatsoever,
that's
because
the
he is Irish
only
as well.
difference.
He's got Irish blood in him as well. So it's entirely up to you. It's 50% with me, and it's more with Paul. And if you go with Paul, you would, I have to be honest, you'll have a very, very good partner in Paul. And he owns a lot of property, does a lot of deals, and I'm not, he's offering more. So that's entirely up to you which one you want to go with. If you want to go with either of us, of course, you might decide you want to plough along on your own.
I've made my decision already. I'm going to go with you, John, please.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you for your offer, Paul.
That's all right.
Thank you very much, Billy.
So there you have it. Now, I don't think that deal actually progressed to purchase because of many of the issues that were highlighted in that clip. But if you want to find out the A to Z of looking for commercial property opportunities, because they are abundant right now, make sure you join me on my next free 90-minute masterclass, and I'll give you everything you need to know to get started on this wonderful journey. Links in the description, on the screen and below. Let me know what you think about this video. Comments, please. And see you guys in the next one.
So, Billy, are we doing a happy dance?
Lizzie!
Yes!
I'm so excited. I'm bursting at the seams.
Amazing. So you got a deal then?
I did.
Tell
yes.
me, who'd you go for?
Working with John, I was sold by. He mentioned speed, and he wanted to get going straight away. And let's do the deal. I was just like, yeah, speed is everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And did you have any other offers from anybody else?
I did.
Did you?
I had a slightly larger offer from Paul, which I did consider.
Yeah.
But it was the speed from John that sold.
That sold you?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
So what's the next step?
Oof, well, this is the beginning of my property, portfolio, which I'm really excited about. So this is my perspective, right? The more successful I become, the more I can give back. So I can show other people how I did it.
Okay.
Right. So one of the things that lights me up the most is making a difference with people.
Yeah.
So if I can coach somebody else on being
do
just
that.
as successful as I am, then I'll die a happy man, basically.
Awesome. Oh, that's really, really great. Well, good luck. I'd love to come and check it out because I'm only around the corner.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Definitely. And thank you so much for coming all this way today.
Thank you so much for having me, Lizzie.
Thank you.
All right, take care.
High streets across the land are changing forever. Basically, there's an oversupply of retail premises. Shops are closing down, more are going to close down in the future. The government know this, and that's why they're introducing a light touch planning system which allows small developers to easily repurpose these buildings to residential use under a light touch planning regime called permitted development. Now, this is going to be the biggest revolution and the biggest change and the biggest opportunity for property investors that I've ever seen. And this is all coming into effect on 1st of August. So you need to know what's happening and what properties to look for to take advantage of these opportunities so that you can get in there and take that first mover advantage. I've got a 90-minute free masterclass to get you ready for August the 1st. Make sure you join me, click the link below. Whether you're a beginner or expert, we'll get you started.